Welcome. I'm Brother Eric John Phelps, Biblical Truth and History and Prophecy, coming to you today, this beautiful 28th day of October 2008. And this broadcast is for white men. White men who've had enough. White men who are Bible-believing, historically Protestant and Baptist. White men who speak English and don't want Spanish for a second language. Although we do speak other languages, we have our civic language for our nation, have designated that to be English. We are white men who wish to have our own nation somewhere here in North America where we can have our own borders, where we can protect our race, our language, our culture, our historic white Anglo-Saxon, Protestant, and Baptist heritage, having sprung out of England and Germany and Holland and other Northern European countries, which brought the world out of the Pope's Dark Ages after the first 30 Years' War from 1618 to 1648, and have brought the world such wonderful scientific inventions as the light bulb, as the toilet, so we don't have to use a chamber pot, as locomotion like electromagnetism or even internal combustion engines, steam engines. The advance in technology that has made our lives, given us lots of time to be able to do other things like research and investigations where we don't have to be constantly busy foraging for food to eat. All of this was a result of white men who spoke English, who believed the Bible, who used the sword of the Spirit in one hand, the Word of God, and the sword of just defense, the weapon, the gun in the other, subordinate to a group of leaders called their government who wanted to promote that. And that's what we want back. This empire, this American empire, has nothing for us. Nothing. There is no difference between Barack Obama and John McCain. None. They're both wicked sinners. They're both Freemasons. They're both serving the papacy. They were both busy frying each other at the Archbishop's Al Smith dinner just earlier this month, having a ball while people are losing their homes and their life savings and their jobs. Everything's a joke to these people. And the joke's on us. Both of them are going to let these millions of alien Roman Catholic savage invaders into this country and let them stay here in violation of the law. Both of them are going to continue the Pope's crusade into Iraq. Both of them are going to continue. Both of them signed off on this horrible reorganization and grand theft, huge grand theft on Wall Street just a couple of weeks ago. I tell you this, if there was any difference between those two, one of them would have said, I'm not going along with this. If Barack Obama wants change, if he wants something different, don't you think he would have said, I'm not going along with this? The only difference between him and McCain is McCain's learned how to lie a little bit longer than Barack, but I'm sure Barack will catch up to him. Let's wake up, white men. And another thing, I'm more convinced than ever that John McCain is going to be our next military dictator, our next Holy Roman Emperor here. In the Pope's Holy Roman 14th Amendment, corporate fascist, socialist communist empire established on July 28, 1868, with the declaration of the ratification of the 14th Amendment. John McCain is going to be the next emperor. You know how we know? Because John McCain was sitting at the right hand of God there at St. Patrick's Cathedral at the Al Smith dinner. Edward Cardinal Egan. That's who he thinks he is. Egan thinks he's the ambassador of God over there in Rome, the Pope. Did you know, Roman Catholics, that the Pope thinks he is God on earth? And therefore all of his archbishops and cardinals are representative of God. And so yes, McCain was at the right hand of Cardinal Egan at the Al Smith dinner. Just like George W. Bush, Skull and Bones George W. Bush, was at the right hand of Cardinal Egan in 2000 at the Al Smith dinner when Al Gore was on the left. Just like in 1960, John F. Kennedy was at the right hand of Cardinal Spellman and Richard Nixon was on the left-hand side. If we are to learn anything from these pictures, from the history of this dinner, it is John McCain's turn to go to the Jesuit Andrew White House, where he can administer this country for the Pope, just like Bush and Clinton and Reagan and Carter and Nixon and Johnson and Ford and all those other sinners. There is no difference between the political parties except Tweedledee and Tweedledum. Don't you give me your propaganda, Fox News Network, or you CNN Network, you propagandizers, liars. And that's how you make your living, telling lies, deceiving the simple in heart, who are too busy working and slaving away every day, trying to make a living, so they can come home and feed their children and have a warm place to sleep, and they don't have the time to dig out all these facts which are absolutely condemning of these sinners who dare to call themselves Americans. That's why we need our own state. It's time for Pennsylvania to secede. We don't need Washington anymore. We don't need Rome on the Potomac. We don't need the Archbishop of New York. We are going to secede, having our own state, and then for the blacks in our nation, the blacks may have their own portion of Pennsylvania. They can have their own nation. The vast majority of blacks want their own country. Give them their own country! You say you're a black nationalist? Absolutely I am, because nationalism is biblical. You're a white nationalist? Absolutely I am. Nationalism is biblical. Diversity is perversity. Michael Savage is absolutely right on that point. A nation is a race of people with a specific language, with a common heritage, living on specific geographical boundaries. That is what a nation is, and America is no longer a nation. It is an empire, just as Rome was, and it's going to fall just as Rome did. This is Brother Eric John Phelps, Biblical Truth and History and Prophecy. I trust you're enjoying the broadcast today. I have with me my guest, Brother Daryl Everhart, but I want to say a few more.